in cause number 2021-0D03137, State of Texas versus Ricardo Jaime. Announcement of council, please.
Eliana Elizalde for the state. State is ready.
Teresa Caballero and Ruben Ortiz ready for Mr. Jaime.
And Mr. Jaime again is appearing remotely. We were scheduled for our final hearing plea deadline. And as we mentioned, Mr. Ortiz, it was set or reset from, I believe, June 16th without a trial date. So although I kind of casually made the offer that we do have panels this Friday, if you all are ready, we were discussing an alternative trial date. The court is prepared to set you all especially for July 13th and 14th because we have Commissioner's Court reserved. So I think, I don't have my notes in front of me. I think the rec was 10 TDC. Is that right, Ms. Elizalde?
Yes, Judge, but I did mention that it has since expired, and my understanding is this is going to be a trial case all along.
Okay. So, Mr. Ortiz?
Teresa, Ms. Caballero, what do you think? I mean,
Mr. Ortiz, I told the court, I actually am not enamored with this trial setting because of other obligations that I have in other courts in the month of July. And for some reason, the month of July is very busy. I do have a trial setting in the 34th on like whatever the Monday is after the 14th, like the 17th, I guess. I don't know if that's going to go, but it is an older case. Then I have especially set the following week, literally 7 days later in the 346. Then I have a jury trial set in the in Judge Cardone's court a week after that. And the reason why the case was moved from June 16th to whatever we find a court date for is because both Mr. Ortiz and I were in trials in different courts. And this is a very serious case. And I want to be able to give it the proper attention. And I also want to give my other cases that have been set prior to this the proper attention. And when you're in back-to-back trials on very serious cases, it really doesn't work out for the defendant. That's my feeling.
I agree with Ms. Caballero, Your Honor. I mean, I realized that we were backlogged. The courts have been backlogged for 3 years. And I can tell you that, you know, we've been back to back since June. All my calendar since first weekend in June has been jury trial every weekend, Your Honor. I'm in the same category as Ms. Caballero. I really think that this case needs to be maybe moved to another date, Your Honor, to really give it its proper attention.
And I'm sorry, Your Honor, not to whine and winch, but I was also in trial in another court a week and a half before our last setting, major felony. And then before that, a misdemeanor, and the misdemeanor seems like safe harbor these days. But even those are very serious. People lose their right to be in this country. They lose their gun rights. They lose their jobs. They lose their ability to be licensed. But you're dealing with two lawyers who are trial attorneys, who go to trial, who take their caseload very seriously. We're not trying to escape our duty in this court and on this case, but I do think that this is a bit much for me.
Mr. Ortiz, do you have anything else? And then Ms. Elizalde, I'll come back to you.
No, Judge, I said I agree with everything Ms. Caballero is saying, and I feel the same way, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Elizalde, I know you have issues with coverage as well.
And I think, you know, I want to add on to something that Ms. Caballero was saying, Judge. This is not a case that we just leave to someone 2 weeks before. It's a big case. I would just ask that you consider that when we're asking for coverage, not only for the victim, but how important the case is.
There's a motion for speedy trial that was filed back in February.
My belief was
We
that
never
it was
exercised.
withdrawn.
Yeah, it was, Judge.
I'm sorry?
We withdrew it on the record. I don't know if you, I mean, my recollection is, yeah, we drew it on the record, Your Honor.
I'm going to set this for July 13th and 14th for jury selection. Specially set It has been set 3 times. What you all are telling me is not anything different than what the courts are in. We are in the same boat, and there simply is no time, no perfect time to set cases. If there was something outstanding, if there was, I mean, you all are up to speed on your case, right?
Judge, we're backlogged, you know, I mean, I don't need to sound like this, but when you were trying cases, Judge, trying cases and I think overseeing cases are 2 different things. And I think you know that, Judge.
Well, you all said it yourself. You're both very experienced.
I could oversee a case without preparing anything, Judge. Okay.
All right.
But trying these cases are very difficult, Judge. Even a misdemeanor case, you know. And then when we are set back to back to back to back, that puts a lot of pressure on us, Your Honor. You know, that puts a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety for all the attorneys involved, Your Honor. You know, and I think that we all have always worked together, Your Honor, and I'm talking about the courts and counsel. We've always worked together, Judge, and I don't think we're requesting anything unreasonable, Your Honor. I think we're, you know, I think we all move cases together, Judge, courts and counsel, Judge, and I think that's the way we move thousands of cases when there's only 365 days in a year, you know. I don't think we're being unreasonable.
Ms. Elizalde, are you asking for continuance? So here's what I'm doing, because everybody seems to be stressing out at the prospect of a trial that should have gone at least 2 times before. I am setting it specially for July 13th and 14th. If you have something to file to hear, we will have a final hearing plea deadline on July 11th. If you need a hearing before that, please advise the court via email with your motion. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
I think we still have Marin, so if Mr. Parra is here.
May Ms. Caballero and I be excused, Your Honor.
You may, and I'm going to remove your client. Thank you very much.
Sorry.
You're right there, ma'am?
Yeah,
That's all Mr. Marin's cases, please.
I'm all of a sudden really sick and I can't deal with this one. I'm just kidding, Judge. All right.
In cause number 2022-0D03238 and 2022-0D03572 and 2022-0D04719 and 2020-0D05125 and 2023-0D02136 and 2022-0D05573, State of Texas versus David Tarin. Announcement of council, please.
And then Alyssa, for the state is ready.
Manuel Parra, Your Honor, for Mr. Tarin, also ready.
And we had scheduled this. Mr. Tarin is in custody and is not present, but we did have, this is, I think, a follow-up to a follow-up. We had a status conference, or actually we were set for plea, and then we had a discussion amongst counsel in the court informally, and we were going to get an update today so we can schedule him accordingly. Do we have an update?
Well, Your Honor, if I may, just for the record, yes, we were set for trial going into the 16th. Prior to that, the state and I reached an agreement to 3 years deferred probation as to, to deferred probation as to all cases, or 3 years TDC. My client accepted the probation offer, Judge. Shortly after that, we were informed by the court that the offer would not be accepted, which led us to meet with Your Honor in chambers to discuss the matter, to discuss certain mitigating circumstances, Judge. At that point, we were told probation would still not be accepted. And Judge, we're here today to see if Your Honor would accept the 3 that had also been put on the table. Now, Ms. Elizalde did mention she didn't want to draft up any plea paperwork, thinking it prudent to have you, Your Honor, address that first, Judge. He has been in custody at this point for close to 350 days, Your Honor. Some of the offenses are aggravated, which would require him to do more time, not to mention he would have the parole left, Judge. We're asking the court to consider the 3.
That's the state's offer, 3 TDC?
Yes, Your Honor.
If your client's prepared to take it, then we will schedule him for a plea Once we get the plea paperwork, we're probably looking at July 18th, Mr. Parra.
Understood, Your Honor.
So if you want to go ahead and submit the plea paperwork, then, you know, the sooner we get it, the sooner I can schedule in at that time. I know the previous date is already full, so.
Understood, Judge.
And just so I'm clear, it's on everything, right?
Yes, Judge, but I will, because it's 3 TDC, I'm gonna have to amend the engaging to an attempted. As a minimum is
And
5. So
then
you're,
our probation case is a state jail, right?
it's a state jail, and Mr. Parra, as you heard the judge, it's gonna be on everything. The discharging as well, right? And the possession will be 12.
And Your Honor,
In
previous,
terms of the state jail, Mr. Parra, I'm looking at the 24 months.
Mhm.
On the
which is
rev.
even they're longer than any of the 3 TDC cases, Judge. I'll run that by my client, Your Honor, make sure that doesn't change anything.
Okay. All right. Let him know that's the low. That's the low. I mean, I really wasn't psyched about a 3 TDC, but I understand that having had that probation offer, you know, your client is probably like, why can't I just have probation? So lay it all on the court. That's fine by me.
Okay, Judge.
But that's where I am on the state jail. So we'll set you for that 18th date and see where we are. Thank you for your efforts and your time, Ms. Elizalde. Stop
ma'am.
driving and check my phone.
Someone else is driving, I
Okay.
promise.
Is there anybody else here